It's so great to be here. You know, one of the most famous and popular expressions was penned in a letter by Isaac Newton in 1675. And he said, if I've been able to see a little further than other people, it's because I stand on shoulders of giants. Most of you won't know this, but Paul Cardinal's music and Paul himself has been a huge part of my clean and sober life. When I was in the height of addiction, not wanting to live anymore, I had a mentor that took me in. And this mentor said, Todd, if you really want to change your life, you need to have a morning routine. And I listened to that. And this morning routine has been the greatest gift that I've ever given myself. I call this morning routine my hour of power, my morning meds. And because of this has been the foundation of my clean and sober life. And it's been such a huge blessing. And in that hour that I do this every morning, in the background, I have Paul's music playing, his beautiful music. His music lights my soul. It makes me feel safe, and it allows me to win the day. So Paul, I thank you for letting me see a little further, for allowing me to stand on your shoulders. Thank you so much. Susan, thank you for having me here. The Sobriety Foundation, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I have to admit, sometimes you get a little nervous doing these things, and when I walked in, I saw a beautiful friend of mine, Evan, who happens to be on the board now here, and just seeing him and the hug he gave me, and to be able to reconnect with him and to see how beautiful he's doing, really just made me go, you know what, everything's gonna be fine tonight. It's gonna be a beautiful night. So Evan, you're amazing. I wanna share with you something that changed my life. It was one of those life-changing experiences. One of the questions I ask my clients is, how do you experience God? Now this is again one of those soul-searching questions, and many, if not all, struggle with answering that question. Many of you in this room might even struggle with that question. It's one of those things that lets people really think, how do I actually do that? And all of us in this room know how important it is that we have a connection with a higher power. I want to share with you a book called The Purpose-Driven Life. And it's going to be up there on the screen as well. But this book, at one time, was the best-selling book in history. It was selling 1 million copies a week. And this book was written by Rick Warren. And there's an experience that I came across. Most of you have probably heard this guy's name, maybe you haven't. His name's Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was the linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. He's now in the NFL Hall of Fame. He's an NFL commentator. And this guy, early on in his life, and even early on in his NFL career, was a complete thug. He was doing drugs, he was dealing drugs, he was doing horrible things, and going down the wrong path, in and out of prison and jail, and just going down the wrong path and doing things that he was going to end up in prison forever, or he's going to die. One of his friends sat him down and handed him this book and said, Ray, please read this book because you're going down the wrong path. And Ray goes, well, what's that book about? And he said, this book's about connecting with your higher power, with God. And Ray's like, I'm not going to read that book. I don't want to read that book. And his friend kept pleading with him, please give this a chance. Ray finally agreed. He started reading this book. To this day, Ray Lewis will tell this entire room and the world that this book saved his life. Now, Ray, you may not know this, but Ray Lewis is best friends with Michael Phelps. Everyone knows who Michael Phelps is. He's the most decorated Olympian of all time. While Michael Phelps is winning all those gold medals, just watching it on TV, we all think that he has this amazing life. He's an amazing athlete. He's winning gold medals. He's got lots of sponsorships, lots of money. He's got all this fame. And you kind of envy that sometimes when you watch it on TV. But what most of us don't know, he was curled up in a ball in his hotel room wanting to end his life. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a photo. He was taking a hit out of a bong, and someone took a picture of it. It went viral, right? And not only was his family disappointed in him, the entire world was disappointed in him. Can you even imagine what that would feel like? The pressure of that. So Michael's struggling, right? He ends up, getting into drinking. He ends up getting 2 DUIs. And he decides that he can't do this on his own, and so he needs to get help. So he decides to check into a rehab in Arizona. Before he goes to rehab, Ray Lewis sits him down and hands him this book. And he says to Michael, I want you to take this book to rehab with you, and I want you to read this. And Michael's like, I don't want to read that book. I don't want to do that. And, Ray Lewis, being the big guy, tough guy he is, looks at me and I says, no, you're going to read this book. And Michael's like, okay, I'll take the book, I'll read it. About 2 weeks into his rehab stint, he calls up Ray Lewis and he says, I cannot believe what's happening to me. He goes, I can't tell you what this is doing to my heart. To this day, Michael Phelps will tell this entire room in the world that this book saved his life. So I hear this story, right? #1 best-selling book in history, selling 1 million copies a week. It saved Ray Lewis's life. It saved Michael Phelps' life. And I thought, what is up with this book? So I bought this book. This is my own personal copy. I've read this 3 times. And there's a line in this book that changed my life. And you know how you can read something 1,000 times and it does nothing? And then you read it again and somehow it just hits you. It's almost as if you were ready to hear it. And I'm going to summarize what it said. It said, God doesn't have love. God is love. And I don't know how to explain it to you guys, but there was something that hit me so hard. I went, there it is. I have overcomplicated this whole higher power thing. God is love. And I'll tell you, it just opened up my eyes in such a way that I could not believe it. Now I want to share a picture up here of my granddaughter, Olivia. Look how beautiful. That's her kindergarten picture. Look how pretty she is. I have to say something. She actually thinks she's a horse. She really does. She gallops around. At family parties, she's jumping over things. And the other day she came up to me and said, Papa, do you want to watch me gallop and buck at the same time? I was like, absolutely, I'd love to see that. But when my granddaughter walks into a room at a family party, guess what we all feel? We feel love. Why? Because she's loved. And you know what? The other thing is, she reminds me of who I am. I'm love as well. And I'll be honest with you, as an adult, I forget it all the time. But when I see her, it reminds me. And by the way, that means everyone in this room is love. So check this out. This is why this changed my life. If God is love and we are love, how does love connect with love? How do we do that? You give it away. You give away love. And that can take on many forms. It could be holding the door for someone. It could be sending a text saying, hey, I was just thinking of you. It could be sitting down with someone who's struggling and just listening to them. There's a myriad of stuff that we could do to give it away. I was running last Saturday. I went on for a run on a beautiful Saturday. The weather was beautiful. And as I was running, I don't know if you've ever ran before, but there truly is a runner's high. And I was feeling it. I was just like, oh man, I feel so amazing. There was this lady in the driveway as I was running past, washing her car. And she was cleaning. It was a beautiful car. It was a Porsche. It was a gorgeous black Porsche. And I just, she looked at me and looked at her. We just kind of gave the nod. And then I said, hey, beautiful car. And this woman, I kid you not, turned to me and said, thank you so much. She lit up. And as I ran past, I said, I just experienced God. And I know this might sound too simple, but I gave away a little love. She gave some love back. It was really short. But in that moment, we both just experienced God. Why? Because God is love. Think about that for a minute. I have a client that I worked with. His name was Jake. He went to Brighton High School. And he's okay if I share this story with you. When I met him, he was a sophomore in high school. And he was struggling though. And by the way, Jake is 6'7", 300 pounds, and he was an All-American offensive lineman already in high school his sophomore year. When I started working with him, he was struggling with his family's religion. He was fighting with his parents. He was doing poorly in school, and he started smoking pot, started drinking. He was rebelling. And if you guys don't know this, when you resent, you rebel. Resentment breeds rebellion, and that's exactly what this kid was doing. He was struggling though. And so I was working with him. We would meet on a weekly basis, and I had this epiphany. I thought, man, I want this guy to experience something. I want him to feel God in his life. And I asked him, I gave him a challenge. I said, tomorrow morning, I want you to go 15 minutes early to school, and I want you to go hold the door at the main entrance, and I want you to stand there, hold the door, and as people walk by, I want you to pay him a compliment. Hey, I love your shoes, your hair looks great today, have a great day, whatever it was, I don't care. And he looked at me, he's like, I can't do that. I mean, this big 6'7" dude. I said, no, you can do this, because I want you to experience something that we've been working on. He agreed to do it, and I said, not only do I want you to do it tomorrow morning, I want you to do it every day until I see you again, which would have been 5 times. So anyway, the next week comes, he comes to his session with me. He said, Todd, I witnessed a miracle. I said, tell me about it. He said, that first day I was holding the door, I was paying compliments for people walking by, and he goes, I was nervous, my heart's pounding, I felt awkward, I felt weird. He goes, it took about 5 minutes, and after that 5 minutes, Todd, I felt nothing but love for these people walking through the door. And I started paying compliments with confidence. Hey, you look amazing, you look beautiful. And I told Jake, you know what? You don't know this, but you probably saved someone's life. There's probably a kid that walked past you that was thinking about ending his life or her life. But because you said something to him and complimented, they maybe made the decision to stay on a little longer. This kid, Jake, ended up holding the door the entire sophomore year from that point forward. He got known as the door guy. I'm not kidding you, it was amazing. And here's this big 6'7" dude at the door. One of the most amazing things I've ever witnessed. But the most beautiful thing, guess what? He saved his life in the process. And he learned how to connect with his higher power, with God. It's as simple as that. If you want to feel love, you give away love. The most powerful principle on this planet is if you want to be, give it away. If you want to be love, go give it away. And then guess what? You get love tenfold back. It's as simple as that. The other day at Wasatch, I had a room of clients who were struggling, and I asked each one of them to stand up and share something that means a lot to you. And it was a really beautiful experience, but there was one guy that stood up that said something that blew my mind. And here's what he said. I tried to find myself I could not see. I tried to find my God eluded me. I tried to find my brother, I found all 3. I thought, wow, that is the most beautiful thing. It hit me so hard. Again, I experienced God in that very moment. One of the things I tell my clients all the time, if you master the first 11 steps of AA, you'll drink again. If you master step 12, you'll never touch another drop. What is step 12? It's giving it away. It's going to help someone else who's struggling. And in those moments, guess what we feel? We experience God. I don't know about you, but it just seems so simple, but yet so powerful. How beautiful is that? It's one of the most amazing experiences that I have ever come across. So the Sobriety Foundation, what an amazing organization this is. What an amazing bunch of people. And they're out there helping people. They're helping thousands and thousands of people continue their recovery. They're giving it away. And in that process, when you guys give to the Sobriety Foundation, guess what? It allows them to go give it away to someone else. And in that process, not only do we all feel love, we get to stand on someone's shoulders and see a little further. How beautiful is that? I am so grateful to be able to rub shoulders with people like Susan and Paul Cardall. I'm serious when I say this. He's one of the reasons why I'm clean and sober to this day. We need people like that. Evan, you inspire me. You really do. I see all the good you're doing. I mean, if you knew this guy's story, maybe many of you do, to see where he's at, it's a miracle. Christian, a miracle that he's sitting here today. It's just a beautiful thing. And I can say this about many of you. So thank you for letting me share a little bit of what I've learned in my journey of recovery. Thank you for this opportunity. Susan, love you. Thanks for this opportunity. I love you. God bless.